I'm Owen Bigland. This is the Inside Edge video blog. Okay, wanted to comment on what's going on in the downtown Vancouver. We're going to talk downtown Vancouver, my main market, in the luxury pre-sale and buildings that have just been built in the last and have come online in the last as little as 4 months up to about a year and a half in areas like the West End, Yale Central, kind of downtown Vancouver, and Cole Harbour. As you guys know, I've said that anything being built in downtown Vancouver these days is all going to be high-end strata, luxury strata for the most part. These are not at $1,000 a square foot or $1,200 a square foot. These are starting at $1,600, $1,700 a square foot and up. And well over $2,500 a square foot. There's also a number of luxury buildings in Cole Harbour, West End that are currently under construction, late stages of construction. That'll be probably occupancy sometime in 2023. So let me talk about it. It's a bit of a luxury bloodbath going on right now, some could call it. There is a real glut of these luxury condos that are currently on the market. In some of these stratas, of course, the developer is still holding a lot of product because they hold back a lot of units until the building is complete and then put them on the market in hopes to get a little better price as opposed to the pre-sale. But that's not happening now. And as you guys know, I'm not a huge fan of pre-sale. It can make sense in some situations, but for the most part, I tell people to avoid pre-sale. And I'm going to give you some examples here, real life examples of what's kind of playing out in this luxury downtown market right now. But, as we speak, I took a look at a number of buildings here, and I'm not going to name the stratas off here. You guys can figure these out for yourself. It's not that hard. I just don't like to name the stratas off. I'm going to be selling these units. I'll have listings in all these buildings in the coming years for sure. And I'll tell you, they are excellent strata. As a matter of fact, they are premium stratas in a lot of cases. Great developers, good locations, high-end finishings, and in a few situations, what they're currently asking for some of these is actually pretty good value. It's getting to the point now where, I'm even tempted to maybe pick up one of these depending on where these go as an investment unit. We'll see. But I'll give you some examples here of a couple of different strata here and what's kind of going on. And what I've always advised you guys is rather than, if you want to be in a luxury tower downtown, and I'll get clients that'll call me all the time, maybe I should buy a pre-sale in this building, I really love the building. Well, it can make sense in some situations if, of course, it's going to be your dream condo, it's a special unit, it's got an incredible view, and it's going to be your principal residence or your dream home. You're going to buy it, lay down the deposits, and in 3 or 4 years, which a lot of things can happen in those 3 or 4 years, which I'll talk about, you'll get the keys and you're going to move into it and live in it for 10, 15 years or more. You'll be fine in those situations. But unfortunately, a lot of people buy these pre-sales. They've been told that, hey, you buy a pre-sale, you'll get the keys in 3 or 4 years and you're going to make a boatload of money on it. It goes nothing but up. Real estate never goes down. It only goes up. It's an incredible deal. Buy a unit, buy 2, and then you'll flip them for big profit. And that can happen sometimes when you buy in the early stages and then a market goes on an epic tear for 3 or 4 years and you get the keys. Yeah, after your friction costs and you're double dipping on the GST and your commissions, you can eke out a decent profit on it for sure. But in a lot of cases, like I'm going to go through here, it goes the wrong way on you. You buy it at close to peak price or maybe just off peak price. And then during those 2 or 3 years, you're waiting for construction to be completed, a lot of things can happen. And in this case, a lot of things have happened, especially in the last year. Interest rates have gone completely ballistic here. Inventory, well, there's not a ton of inventory, but especially in these luxury units right now, it's a slow market. I looked, currently there are 70 units for sale right now in Cole Harbour, over $2 million. So a lot of things can happen, and you take the keys on these things, and when you bought it, you could have gotten a variable rate at 2.2. Now you're looking at 5.2. So I'll give you a few examples here. Some of this, bit of a bloodbath here. This is a luxury condo that just got occupancy this past summer, July and August. And they do it floor by floor. I think some of them might still not even have the occupancy permit on it as they move up the floors. But so just got occupancy 2 or 3 months ago here. There's one here that's listed. It's been listed now for 2.5 months, started at 1.5, currently now at 1.2. It's an 800 square foot, 2-bed, 2-bath. They are looking at a loss on this. I believe, it's hard to find out on some of them, but I believe they paid about $1.2 million for this thing pre-sale. So they're at 1.2, no offers yet. They're going to take something below that. Plus, when you minus your real estate commissions, they're looking at a loss. Here's another one. This is a larger 2-bed. This is 1,200 square feet, 2-bed, high floor on the 50th floor. 1,200 square feet, started at $2.6 million in August. They're currently now at $2.1 million, no takers. Now this is one that actually, I think, if you could get this under $2 million or even at 1.9, that is a fairly screaming deal, in my opinion, for a 1,200 square foot unit, luxury on the 50th floor. These people are taking a big loss on this. Now, I don't know their circumstances. They bought this 3.5, 4 years ago. Maybe their circumstances changed. It was going to be their dream home, but the guy got disabled, or they got a divorce, or he's got a job transfer and now doesn't need the unit. That's the things that can happen when you buy pre-sale. A lot can happen in 3, 4, 5 years from the time you put the deposit down till the time you get your keys. And that's why it is so dangerous. When you buy a pre-sale, you have to be 100% committed to it. The market might bail you out and it goes up while the construction is going on. But after you deduct your friction costs, your PTT, your GST, your real estate commissions, another set of GST, which I'm going to get to, it's pretty hard to make any money on these, and you can get wiped out like these people. This thing might, I don't know, sell at 1.950, who knows? We're not sure. It's at 2.1 now and still going lower, trending lower, that market is right now. The other thing I want to point out, I've talked about this many times, GST, double dipping on the GST if it's new. This is a very gray area that you better hire a good realtor on, or consult your accountant on this and your lawyer. So this is a gray area with CRA. If you buy a condo, brand new condo, you've never lived in it or have lived in it for less than a year, or you had no intention of living in it full time, and you try and sell it in under a year, there's a good chance that you will be audited and somebody is going to be hit with a second set of GST. So the buyer has already paid the GST to the developer when they took possession. It depends now. What they're going to do is they're going to pull the contract of purchase and sale. They're going to see how that's written. Who is on the hook for this GST? Was the offer inclusive of GST or not? And they will go back to whatever party is going to be liable for that second set of GST. It's funny, in the agent's remarks and in the listings, there's 56 listings currently in this strata, plus there's a whole bunch more. The developer has some on the MLS, but they've got a whole bunch that aren't listed on the MLS. They've got units that are in reserve. So I don't know how many units could be for sale for here. It could be 75, 80, who knows? It's a ton. But I would say half of the listings in there do not mention anything about GST being paid or anything else. That's the smart way to do it. The other half, though, are saying GST has been paid, no GST. That's dangerous, in my opinion. I don't know. These realtors probably should consult their managing brokers on this, because again, for the most part, if you buy a condo, flip it in 3 months, you never lived in it, usually Revenue Canada is coming after you for a second set of GST. Again, it's why you want to have an experienced realtor who knows how to write a contract to protect you in this situation. But, a few other things here. What I suggest, people will often say, yeah, should I buy a pre-sale condo, luxury condo in downtown? Again, as I said, it can make sense if it's going to be your dream home and you're going to live in it. But for the most part, what I tell people is, why buy it pre-sale? Wait until the building is complete, and you're going to get situations like this, where there's a whole bunch of people that had no intention of living in these units. They were promised that the prices only go up. We're going to buy this unit. They live in a detached home somewhere. This was never going to be their principal residence, and we're going to flip it for big profit. Or their circumstances have changed. And within the first couple of months of a building getting occupancy, you're going to get 30, 40, 50 listings. And now they're all competing against each other for those same limited buyer pool. And it becomes a little bit of a race to the bottom. Everybody kind of slashing their prices to try and get in front of the competing units for sale. And that's the way to do it. I've bought many homes this way for my buyers, where we've gone in on these newer condos that are just finished. There's 20 listings to choose from, and you can go in, you can look at 4 or 5 of them on a weekend, and then come in, you know, well below asking price and negotiate a good deal on them. Those are the ways to go. Plus, right into the contract that the seller pays the second set of GST. It's negotiable. So, you know, you've got to be really careful though. These people are taking some pretty heavy losses here. You know, there's another one this is another one in Cole Harbour now, different strata. 1 bed current, this strata is coming up to 1 year old. A 1 bed, they paid $1,000. I was able to look up what they paid for this one. They paid $1,054 for the unit. It's that included GST, currently listed at $799. $799. So they are going to take a $250,000 with their taxes and commissions and everything else. We're talking right now $300,000 on this 1 bed. Ouch, that hurts. Again, 670 units currently on the market in Cole Harbour, priced over $2 million. Some are new, and a lot of them is just tangible product, no GST, of course. Some of these sellers are kind of holding out. I looked and I could find what some of these sellers paid. Some of them are trying to hold out here for what, at least trying to get what they paid for the unit, which isn't happening. They've got no takers on these. There's one here in Cole Harbour, 1,500 square feet. They started at $3.9 million. This was a year and a half ago. Currently now down to 3.5. I looked it up. They paid 3.2. So they're not going to get their 3.2 out of this. If I was the advising of this clients, I would say either cut your price here and try and take your loss, or take it off the market. Put a tenant in it, do something, take it off the market, and we'll revisit it in 2 or 3 years, because eventually the market will recover. The overall market will start to trend up again. But at the very least, you'll kind of flush out all these sellers. In this particular strata, there's like 17 units for sale. So there's a whole bunch of people in the same boat. You've got to flush these kind of speculative, can't hold sellers out of the market. And that's going to take some time, especially in this price category, to get these sellers, kind of get some of that inventory taken out. You know, some of the other ones, I've talked about this one before, $3 million unit in Cole Harbour with 1 small parking space. Another one I just saw, this is in Cole Harbour, 450 square feet, studio, $928,000 they're asking for that unit. We'll see. GST is going to be paid by somebody. The seller's paid it once. Somebody's going to pay that a second time. We'll have to see. But $928,000 for 450 square feet. Tough go. That's a tough sell. Nice building. But last week, I just sold a 580 square foot studio in a building in the West End that I know very well. Excellent building. Yeah. High-end building, 24-hour concierge, 11 years old, built by Concert. I've got lots of clients in this building. We bought it subject-free for $600K. $600K for 580 square feet. That unit will rent probably right now for around $22.50 a month. So, you know, this is 450 square feet for upwards of $950,000. When you look at what's out there in the tangible market, it makes these look like a pretty tough sale. Final thing I'll say here, I get people out all the time asking me, Owen, with the interest rate spiking, these guys are licking their chops already, is there opportunities to buy some of these pre-sales from people that can't complete? You know, the interest rates have spiked up. In 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 months, they're going to have to complete on these units. Their interest rate has gone from 2% to 6%. And yeah, and my answer to that is yes, absolutely. There are going to be some deals out there. This is the unfortunate circumstance of buying pre-sale and having a 3 or 4 year delay. Lots of stuff happens, and a lot of bad stuff can happen. So what they thought their payment was going to be was $3,000 a month has now gone to $6,000 a month. The bank has now told them, forget it. We're not going to lend you the money on this. Remember, when you buy pre-sale, you cannot get pre-approved for pre-sale. They'll give you a ballpark idea based on the current interest rates and the current environment and based on your employment and your income and everything else. But prior to the completion, 3 or 4 years later, they're going to ask you for all your T4 slips, all your income. They're going to ask you for any debts you have, and then they're going to qualify for you at the current interest rates, which are double what they were. So in answer to this guy, yes, there will be some opportunities there. Now, I can tell you, I've talked about this, I get 3 or 4 calls a year from desperate sellers who bought pre-sales who now can't complete on them for various reasons. Coming up, it's mostly going to be interest rate spikes. But usually I cannot help them because if you, once I dig a little deeper, the developer will not allow me to put these on the MLS. I've talked about this many times. These developers have gotten smart. The pendulum is completely shifted to their advantage now. Used to be able to put these and sell them on the MLS. Now they don't want the competition because they're still holding units for sale, the developer. So good luck trying to sell your $1 million 1-bed, 1-bath on Craigslist. It's going to be tough. The other thing is, of course, is that when people see assignments on Craigslist or any assignment, they know a lot of them can smell blood in the water. I do. It means that you're in trouble. You can't complete on this unit, and it's going to be coming up for completion in 2 months or 3 months or a month. Who knows? Then you're going to get lowball offers on this. And that's the problem here. So the way to go, though, so selling these on assignment are going to be pretty tough. What I would suggest to people is, again, you wait like these situations here until that strata is complete. I tell these people who are call me and say, can you sell my strata? I tell them, I usually can't. The only way you're going to get out of this, Mr. Seller, is to try and complete on this. Do whatever you can. Borrow some money. Get a co-signer in place. At least complete on it, get the keys, and then we can at least then put it on the open market, put it on the MLS. It's tangible. We can show it. Selling it as assignment is extremely difficult, and you're never going to get anywhere near market value for it. You're not. But even then, when we put it on the market, we're going to be in this situation here, where there's us and 19, 20, 30 other sellers in the same boat, selling the exact same unit you've got on a higher floor at the same price, or less in some cases. It all depends on how desperate they are to cut their losses and get out of this thing. So yes, there will be opportunities here. So there'll also be opportunities, of course, in areas like Brentwood, Metrotown, where the prices are per square foot are a fair bit less than what we're talking about for these luxury condos. And yeah, you'll probably see some opportunities there. Again, what I would do is I would just keep your eye on the building you want to be in. Once they start to get occupancy floor by floor, you will slowly start to see those hit the MLS. I would be patient and let the inventory kind of build up. The days on market will probably get built up. Some of them will get picked off if they're priced right, but that's how you do it. You go in and now you've got 10 units that you're competing, that you can go look at. You put in an offer well below asking and try and negotiate it. And again, get a good realtor. I'm more than happy to help you on it, or someone on my team. Make sure you write that contract properly, because the GST is a total minefield right now, and you want to protect yourself. So that's what's going on right now. It's a tough market right now for luxury pre-sales or buildings that have just been completed in Vancouver. Again, though, you know, a lot of this can be avoided if you just if you're going to buy a pre-sale luxury condo in Cole Harbour or the West End or Yaletown. Just make sure you're committed to it. It's going to be your dream home. You're going to buy it, live in it for at least 5 to 10 years, I think. Let that wave of initial sellers get flushed out, and then review it from there. But trying to flip these quick, very difficult. It's a bit of a bloodbath, and these people that I'm currently mentioned here, they're all going to be looking at substantial losses here. I'm Owen Bigland. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.